our top story tonight. For a Prime Minister who rarely interacts with the media, it was a valiant attempt to restore the UPA's badly dented image. His comments were vintage MAHMOHAN, specific and to the point, in the process attempting to recover some lost ground. Malvika Jain pieces the press interaction together.
MAHMOHAN SINGH went the farthest today to put some distance between himself and his office by lumping all that went wrong in the telecom policy on A. Raja, asserting that the matter of granting fresh licenses was never brought to him or the cabinet. The Prime Minister repeated what has been said on this matter in the past, that no auctions for spectrum were conducted because the TRAI did not recommend so, and that it was Raja who implemented first come first serve for grant of licenses. Crucially, the Prime Minister for the first time went on record to say that although the Finance Ministry had asked for higher pricing of spectrum, it had agreed with the DoT to abide with the no auction system for 2G spectrum.
This was also discussed with the Finance Ministry because in terms of the Cabinet decision of 2003, the pricing and allocation of spectrum was to be settled between the Ministry of Finance and the Telecom Department. Initially, of course, the Finance Ministry did ask for a high price of spectrum, but after many discussions, I think the two ministries agreed that as far as 2G is concerned, we have to live with the present system, particularly with regard to the amount of spectrum that is built and embedded into a license agreement.
But that was not all. The Prime Minister went ahead to raise the larger question of pricing of spectrum versus affordability of services by questioning the basis of estimating losses and asking whether subsidies on items like fertilizers could be termed as a loss to the exchequer.
I am not in a position to say that there is a foolproof method in which one can determine the extent of the loss. I think it's very much a function of what is your starting point, and also depends upon our opinion. We have, for example, a budget which gives the subsidy for the food 80,000 crores per annum. Some people may say these food grains should be sold at market prices. So will we say then, because they are not sold at market prices, because you are giving them subsidy, there is a loss of 80,000 crores?
It was not just scams that the Prime Minister spoke about. MAHMOHAN SINGH said that the government would continue with its reform agenda.
There have been reforms in the National Rural Health Mission. Same way, I think we are going to have a fresh wave of infrastructure investment with the help of the new PPP model. These are not big reforms, and I sincerely hope that in this current budget you will see, for example, I think a clearer picture of the reform agenda that our government has.
And finally, the Prime Minister also made it clear that there would be a cabinet reshuffle after the budget session.
After the budget session of Parliament is over, there will be a restructuring, a reshuffle of the cabinet.
So while the Prime Minister promised that the government is dead serious to punish the corrupt, the coming months will continue to test his resolve and the determination of this government to pursue more reforms. In New Delhi, Malvika Jain.
Our economic policy editor Siddharth Zarabi now joins us for more perspective. Siddharth, we heard what the Prime Minister had to say, but more importantly, the questions that have been left unanswered. In that light, what's the big picture?
Well, clearly the big picture is of a Prime Minister who is whose image has been dented, and remember the only asset really in political terms that the Prime Minister has is his integrity, and that has been questioned no end over the last few months. So therefore, if this was an attempt to defend his integrity and reputation, I think on the crucial questions the Prime Minister faltered and the explanations sounded very feeble at best. Although on the issue of 2G, the Prime Minister did say something that several people have been saying in the past, and this is to do with the economic argument of how high or low you should price spectrum. But clearly on his ability to act as a decisive Prime Minister during that phase, when there were complaints which he acknowledged, did he come across as prime ministerial during those decisions? I don't know, and I don't think his post-presser conference remarks, his remarks have been welcomed by some coalition partners. In fact, some people have gone ahead to say that it is unfair for the leader of the government to go ahead and blame coalition politics for this on other issues. They have acted tough with their coalition partners. So clearly, I think as far as the scams go, the Prime Minister's attempts did not wash. But yes, he did display some sort of firm combativeness, if one would put it that way, on some other issues. But to summarize, really, did the Prime Minister's statement shake up the nation? Did he make an assertion and a clean break from the recent past few months, and would his replies in any way restore public confidence on the integrity question? I don't know. I think answers to that will probably take much more longer to come.
In fact, let's get some of those answers to the questions that you are raising, Siddharth, but we will come back to you in just a bit on another top story that we're tracking. The Prime Minister's media interaction on the scams and corruption issues that have rocked the nation seem to have struck the right chords with the investor community, at least. Sajid Mangat and Ashwin Mohan sum up the key reactions.
An impression has gone round that we are a scam-driven country, and that nothing good is happening in our country. In the process, willy-nilly, I think we are weakening the self-confidence of the people of India.
This was the Prime Minister's key concern. That over the last 2 months, the India growth story has lost out to negative perception. It is a sentiment borne out by figures. Foreign investors have become cagey and selective as far as investments into emerging markets like India are concerned. While nearly $10 billion have moved out from emerging markets to developed markets so far in 2011, India alone accounts for over 10% of this. That's why brokerages, especially foreign ones, saw the Prime Minister's eloquence as an attempt to talk up sentiment. Here's their take on the Prime Minister's statements. His comments on the 2G scam indicate that he is passing the buck to the Telecom Ministry, and his stance that the government is intent on bringing wrongdoers to justice is posturing aimed at bringing back confidence in the UPA government. On inflation, the Prime Minister has backed away from any definite commitment on agricultural reforms and put the onus of such reforms on the state governments. Singh has also reiterated his commitment to the reforms process. So why do brokerages believe the Prime Minister broke his silence? Citigroup says the idea was to show to the media that it's not all gloom and doom in India, and while the media has played a crucial role in identifying corruption, and opinion is always subjective, the media needs to be responsible enough to focus on the positives as well, and facts should not be distorted to suit the opinion. Meanwhile, CLSA says, all in all, a measured performance intended to deflect criticism away from the Congress party and towards the coalition partners. The Prime Minister's comments are just a fraction of what the doctor ordered to rebuild confidence in the India story. A lot will depend on whether Finance Minister Pranab Mukherjee will deliver on the 28th of February. In Mumbai with Sajid Mangat, Ashwin Mohan.